Oh baby, turn and burn because the war has officially begun. We have massive developments in the MicroStrategy versus JPMorgan battle. Saylor is not just building a company anymore. He's building an institution, a bank, a Bitcoin bank, a god-tier energy-backed capital-efficient citadel that makes JPMorgan look like a payday loan place behind a Taco Bell. And what do you know? The second he starts hinting at StrategyBank, JPMorgan rolls out a leveraged Bitcoin product connected to iBit. And now they're calling for $240,000 Bitcoin. Oh, now you're bullish. After trying to kneecap Saylor like Nancy Kerrigan at the Olympics? Ladies and gentlemen, again, this isn't coincidence. This is coordinated financial warfare. And it may actually confirm Saylor's call for $1 million Bitcoin. Is this our biggest show of all time? Possibly. Okay, quick recap for the people in the back still eating Campbell's soup. MicroStrategy, the Bitcoin standard of corporate adoption, the HODL fortress. JPMorgan, the Hydra of global finance. You cut one head off, two grow back, and they both want management fees. The recent JPMorgan war on strategy, Jack Mallers and Bitcoin, not random, not accidental, completely planned. JPMorgan has realized something horrifying. Bitcoin and stablecoins kind of equal the death of fractional reserve banking. And, well, that's kind of their business model. That's the empire. That's the gravy train. Enter their newest mutation, JPMorgan Coin, a quote, deposit token. Not a stablecoin, no. That might imply competition. This is a regulated institutional blockchain efficiency enhancement vehicle, which actually means it's a stablecoin designed to avoid stablecoin regulation. And unlike normal stablecoins, these pay interest. So when institutions can get yield on-chain JPMorgan deposits, what happens to Circle, to Paxos, to every stablecoin? They get Thanos snapped because JPMorgan doesn't want decentralization. They want CBDCs wearing Yeezys. And here's the evil genius of Jamie Dimon Coin. It keeps the underlying dollars inside JPMorgan's fractional reserve vault. So now, instead of money multiplication inside a closed banking system, they can multiply money across blockchains, across borders, across time zones, and across you. So, JPMorgan is building on-chain fractional reserve banking on steroids. And meanwhile, MicroStrategy is building a full reserve Bitcoin institution. This is a clash of civilizations, not products, not filings, philosophies. And look at the timing. Saylor starts tweeting about Bitcoin-powered banks. MicroStrategy already beat JPMorgan in performance. Now they want to beat them in infrastructure. StrategyBank trademark may be inevitable. A bank model that could destroy the existing system. Let it burn! So what does JPMorgan do? Well, first, they try to destroy him. And now we have a deeper, fuller understanding of the attack and the timeline. JPMorgan jacks MicroStrategy's margin requirements to 95%. We have the coordinated delisting fear campaign, and then boom, JPMorgan files iBit leveraged notes. They scream delisting risk while launching a Bitcoin-backed bond. Oh, you're worried about investor safety, so you designed a leveraged product tied to an ETF created by your competitor's competitor. Yeah, sure, pal. You see? They can't print Bitcoin, so they're printing paper claims on Bitcoin. That's the strategy. They want everyone to hold ETFs, structured notes, wrapped exposure, synthetic derivatives, custodial IOUs. Because the more financial products between you and your Bitcoin, the more power they retain. They want the upside. They want the volatility. They want the liquidity. But they want you in a cage. That's why self-custody is the revolution. We're about to bring it home. But before we do, look at our likes.
3 or 4 times, maybe.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Let's take a quick second for our sponsors who keep this show on the air over at the Bitcoin Way. If your wealth lives in their system, it's not yours, it's theirs. That's why we scream Bitcoin. That's why you self-custody. And that's why you call our friends over at the Bitcoin Way. They'll walk you through multi-sig, self-custody, privacy, how to run a node, and the tools that keep you sovereign when the fiat system pulls the plug. Don't wait till it's too late. Book a free 30-minute consult today using that link in the show notes. Need cash but don't want to sell your Bitcoin? Ledn is the global leader in Bitcoin-backed loans, issuing over $9 billion in loans since 2018, and they were the first to offer proof of reserves. With Ledn, you get custody loans, no credit checks, no monthly payments, and more. Visit learn.ledn.io/simply to learn more and get 25 basis points off your first loan. JPMorgan, who calls Bitcoin a scam, criminal money, environmental terrorism, suddenly claims it's a tradable macro asset class that could reach 240,000 cuckbucks. Oh, now you like it. Now that you have a product to sell, now that you need exit liquidity. Meanwhile, Fed Governor Stephen Moran says rate cuts are coming and Ukraine agrees to Trump's peace terms. And would you look at that? Texas officially bought the Bitcoin dip. The 8th largest economy in the world is now a Bitcoin buyer. And what happens next? The short squeeze that destroys Jamie Dimon will make GameStop look like a bake sale. And here's the poetic ending. While JPMorgan is building Bitcoin financial paper, they may have confirmed Saylor's call for $1 million Bitcoin. Roll it!
Then that has resulted in an avalanche of institutional adoption, and now you have companies like JPMorgan, right, and Bank of America, and Wells Fargo, and BNY Mellon, and PNC Bank, and Citi, that are all announcing their support for this asset class. And if the trillion-dollar banks are willing to custody, and they're willing to extend credit, and they're willing to handle the asset class, and they're willing to bank the crypto industry, that's really the necessary condition to 10x from here. Like Bitcoin got to 100,000 without their help, but getting to 1 million requires the banks to bank the asset. And so the next 4-year period is really about banking Bitcoin and the support for digital assets in general by the major establishment of bankers in the United States. And everybody else in the world, right, you can imagine the bankers in Australia, Canada, Singapore, the Middle East, and Europe, Mexico, they all follow the U.S. banking standard. And so what you have is an avalanche or a sea change here, and the headwinds have become tailwinds.
Okay, so that's what got us here. Let's just talk about the short term, 2025 year end. Where does it end up? Because I've heard everything from 100 to 200,000.
Yeah, well, the consensus of all the equity analysts, and there's like a dozen of them that cover our stock, is north of 150,000. Our corporate guidance is targeted at $150,000 by the end of the year.
Right.
And he may be right, not despite JPMorgan's involvement, but because of it. Every attempt to financialize Bitcoin increases demand for the underlying asset. Every IBIT note, every structured product, every leveraged wrapper requires more real Bitcoin. And eventually, absolute scarcity tears through the firmament. So how do you win this war? Well, not by trusting banks and not by buying leverage. And not by chasing coupons disguised as exposure. You win through self-custody. Long-term accumulation, no leverage, no paper Bitcoin. You buy real Bitcoin. They can't squeeze what they can't rehypothecate. And well, all this is happening. Happy Thanksgiving. The Orange Man just pardoned Gobble.
Gobble,
Oh, there you go.
I just want to tell you this, very important. You are hereby unconditionally pardoned.
Personally, I still think he should have named them Chuck and Nancy, but hey, democracy is messy.
Names of Gobble and Waddle. When I first saw their pictures, I thought we should send them, well, I shouldn't say this. I was going to call them Chuck and Nancy. But then I realized I wouldn't be pardoning them. I would never pardon those two people. I wouldn't pardon them. I wouldn't care what Melania told me. Darling, I think it would be a nice thing to do. I won't do it, darling. These are two of the largest turkeys ever presented to an American president, over 50 pounds each. It's the largest we've ever had. And those are big turkeys. Are they as good as the normal-sized turkey? Better or as good? Do they tend to be a little fatty, maybe? No, he said no. He knows the turkey business. Anyway, despite their size, Secretary Kennedy has formally certified that these are the first ever Maha turkeys. I don't know if I agree with that. These are Maha. In other words, they could be fat, but they're still Maha. They've been fattened on a steady diet of grass, beef, to allow the smoothies and all of the other things that they've been eating for this occasion. This was a really big occasion, but they've eaten every fattening food that you can eat. We wanted to really make them special, and they really are. They're like record-setting. I've never seen a turkey that big before. Are they violent at all? Will they attack as I...
And yes, Bitcoin has now officially made us the weird cousin at Thanksgiving dinner, so maybe don't whip out the hyper-Bitcoinization chart during Grace this year.
Bitcoin is a shining city in cyberspace, and you can go there once you understand it.
Maybe just play it safe and stay in the attic this time, but don't worry, our revenge is coming at Christmas, or Easter, or when the new Fed chair gets sworn in, but we will have our revenge. Have a blessed Thanksgiving, stack sats, love your family, and don't let Jamie Dimon carve the turkey. Let us know what you think below. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and give us a pamp by sharing the Sound Money Gospel, and I'll catch you all next time. Love you guys. Peace.
If you prefer to go down with the ship, you.